Most dog owners think they know exactly why their dog walks on them at night. They've heard the same explanation 100 times, but some of what you've been told about this behavior is actually based on research that the scientist who wrote it has spent years trying to correct. There are 7 of them, and they get more surprising as we go. Number 7. Your dog is awake between sleep cycles, and that's completely normal. Here's something most owners never consider. Dogs don't sleep the way we do. Humans go through 4 or 5 complete sleep cycles per night. Each one lasts about 90 minutes. Your dog goes through as many as 20 complete cycles in the same night, each one lasting only around 15 minutes. That means your dog is naturally waking up briefly every 15 minutes or so throughout the entire night. Most owners have never heard this number. When your dog wakes between cycles, their instinct is to check on the members of their group. That's you. That's the bed. That's why the Tua.M. Walk across your legs isn't random. It's structurally predictable based on how their sleep is built. It happens on a timer. Your dog isn't malfunctioning. They're working exactly as designed. What experienced owners eventually figure out is that a dog with a good orthopedic bed positioned close to them, not on the bed, tends to check in briefly and return to sleep much faster. They get the proximity signal. They settle. That's a small investment that can change how often you feel that 3.M. Walk across your shins. Number 6. Your dog may be responding to something happening in your body that you don't know about. There's a published study involving 212 dog owners, all of them with type 1 diabetes, where researchers asked whether their untrained pet dogs had ever reacted to a hypoglycemic episode. 65% of them said yes. Their dogs had shown some kind of behavioral reaction, pawing, pressing, nudging, or in some cases waking the owner up during a blood sugar drop. These were not trained service dogs. These were ordinary pets who had never been taught to do anything like this. Scientists think what the dog is smelling is isoprene, a compound found in human breath that rises significantly when blood sugar drops. Dogs have around 220 million olfactory receptors compared to about 5 or 6 million in humans. They also have a second scent organ humans don't have at all, called the vomeronasal organ, which processes chemical signals that our noses can't even register. Most dog owners are never told about that study. If your dog has ever walked on you or woken you up at an unusual time for no obvious reason, it's worth knowing this research exists. This doesn't mean you should use your dog as a medical device, but it does mean that nighttime behavior you've been dismissing as annoying may occasionally have a physiological reason behind it. Number 5, your dog can literally smell your stress changing while you sleep. In 2022, researchers at Queen's University Belfast published a study testing whether dogs could distinguish between a person's baseline odor and their stress odor, based only on breath and sweat samples. No visual quest. No body language. Just the chemistry. The accuracy rate was 93.75%. The compounds that change when a human is under acute stress are detectable to dogs, and even untrained dogs react to them. A separate team at the University of Bristol found that untrained pet dogs appeared to pick up on cortisol shifts in their owners as well. Cortisol is the stress hormone released during anxiety, sleep disruption, or physical strain. When you're in a stress phase during sleep, elevated heart rate, shallow breathing, stress hormones present in your sweat, your dog is not ignoring that. They're processing it. What looks like your dog restlessly repositioning or pressing against you at 3.M. Maybe a chemical response to something you weren't even aware your body was doing. Stay with me, because the next few change how you think about the relationship between your dog's behavior and your own habits over time. Number 4. Your stress level and your dog's stress level have been synchronized for months, and most owners don't know which direction that's running. A study from Linköping University in Sweden measured stress hormones in the hair of 58 dogs and their owners across 2 different seasons. Hair holds a record of cortisol over months, not just hours. What they found was that the dog's long-term cortisol levels tracked almost exactly with the owner's. High-stress owner, high-stress dog. Low-stress owner, low-stress dog. The researchers concluded that the dog is mirroring the owner, not the other way around. This study was described in its own conclusion as the first to demonstrate long-term interspecies stress synchronization. Most owners have never heard of it. What this means practically is that a dog that seems restless at night, that seems anxious, that seems like it can't settle, may be carrying a stress load that it absorbed from you. Not because anything is wrong with the dog, but because it lives with you and its nervous system has been calibrated to yours over months. That's not a behavioral problem you can fix with a product. but it is useful information. It tells you that some of what you're interpreting as your dog's issue may actually be your dog accurately reflecting your household's baseline. Number 3. The dominant dog explanation was built on research the original scientist has publicly tried to retract, and it may have cost owners a lot of money. If you've ever been told that your dog walking on you, climbing over you, or sleeping in certain positions means they're trying to be dominant, you've been given advice built on a specific study of captive wolves. The researcher who wrote that study is a biologist named David Mech. He has spent years publicly stating that his original findings were misapplied. His research was on wolves kept in artificial captive groups, not wild packs. When he observed wild wolf families, the hierarchy behavior looked completely different. The American Veterinary Society of Animal Behavior has a formal position statement against applying dominance theory to companion dog behavior. Tufts University's veterinary school published a piece directly addressing this, noting that no species creates dominance hierarchies with another species. Veterinary behaviorists now use the term conflict aggression to describe what old training guides labeled dominance, because the actual cause is anxiety about unclear structure, not an attempt to control the owner. Why does this matter financially? Because the dominance correction industry is large. Prong collars, shock corrections, specific training programs, spray bottles, and behavioral modification tools marketed around dominance theory have been sold to millions of pet owners over decades. The American Veterinary Society of Animal Behavior and the Association of Professional Dog Trainers have both taken formal positions that force-based corrections increase fear and anxiety in dogs rather than resolving the underlying issue. If you've spent money on those tools because your dog walks on you at night, you may have bought the wrong solution to a problem that was never what you were told it was. We're getting into the discoveries that surprised me the most. Stay with me. Number 2, where your dog sleeps on your body at night may be a health signal worth paying attention to, and most owners read it as affection. There's a specific behavior that veterinarians flag as a potential early indicator of respiratory or cardiac strain. A dog that consistently needs to prop its head or neck on a raised surface while sleeping. This could be the edge of a pillow, the arm of a couch, or your leg. The elevated head position helps open the airway. In a healthy dog resting comfortably, this might happen occasionally. But in a dog that consistently seeks your body or the edge of something to raise their head while sleeping, it can reflect that lying flat is uncomfortable for their breathing. Veterinary sources note that this is worth monitoring specifically in brachycephalic breeds. That's bulldogs, French bulldogs, pugs, Boston terriers, and similar flat-faced dogs, because their airway structure makes flat sleeping harder. But it applies to other breeds as well in cases of early-stage heart disease or respiratory changes. Most owners see this as their dog wanting closeness, and it might be. But a dog that shows this consistently, combined with noisy breathing, snoring that's gotten worse, or decreased exercise tolerance, is showing something worth a vet conversation. You won't spend $1 on a product based on this. But knowing this means that the next time your dog seems insistent about sleeping specifically on your legs or chest with their head propped up, you have a different piece of information than most owners do. One more thing before the last point. A 2017 study from the Mayo Clinic used accelerometers to measure human sleep quality over 7 nights in 40 dog owners. Dogs in the room produced an 83% sleep efficiency rating for their owners. Dogs on the bed produced 81%. The 2-point difference was statistically significant at p equals 0.003. The dogs themselves slept at 85% efficiency, slightly better than their owners in either arrangement. Most co-sleeping owners have never seen those numbers. Most of them have also already accepted the trade-off and aren't going to change. But knowing the actual data is different from assuming it's either harmless or terrible. It's measurable. It's a 2-point difference. That's the honest number. Number 1. The research that explains your dog's bond to you most accurately doesn't come from dominant studies or pack theory. It comes from infant attachment research. And what it means for nighttime behavior is something almost no consumer content has ever covered. Researchers in Hungary adapted a child developmental psychology test called the Strange Situation Test to measure how dogs bond to their owners. The findings showed that dogs form attachment bonds to their owners that are structurally similar to the bonds between human infants and their parents. The owner functions as what researchers call a secure base, the entity from which the dog regulates its own emotional state. A 2022 EEG sleep study published in Frontiers in Neuroscience found that dogs with stronger attachment scores slept more deeply in their owner's presence. Their brain activity during sleep, measured non-invasively, showed lower arousal and more time in restful NREM sleep when their attachment figure was nearby. Attachment wasn't just an emotional concept, it showed up in measurable brain activity during sleep. What this means in plain terms: a dog that walks on you while you sleep, presses against you, or repositions itself to stay in contact with your body is not doing something random. They are doing something their nervous system is actively organized around. The need for the secure base is biological. It was studied, measured, and documented using the same frameworks researchers use for human infants. That means two things for anyone watching this. First, the behavior isn't a training failure. It isn't dominance. It isn't a problem to fix with a product. It's attachment. And most of the tools marketed to fix nighttime positioning behavior are aimed at a description of the problem that wasn't accurate to begin with. Second, if that attachment is secure, the research shows the dog actually sleeps better. If the attachment is anxious, which is something owners can observe in their dog's general behavior around separation and strangers, the dog may be restless not because they want to be on the bed, but because they're not regulating well without that proximity. The consumer awareness piece in all of this is the same across almost every point in this list. Most of what you've been told about why your dog does this at night was built on outdated models. The products sold based on those models may not be addressing what's actually happening. And the research that explains the behavior most accurately, from Queen's University Belfast, from Linköping University in Sweden, from the Hungarian Academy of Sciences, from the Mayo Clinic, is sitting in academic journals that most dog owners will never open. You've been sleeping next to an animal that can smell your stress chemistry changing, that mirrors your long-term cortisol levels, that may have already been responding to physical events in your body without any training at all, and that is organizing its sleep around a biological attachment system first documented in human infants. That's not a dog that's bothering you. That's a dog that's been paying very close attention. If you found any of this useful, the best thing you can do is share it with another dog owner who's been up at 3 wondering the same thing. Drop a comment below with which one surprised you most. I read all of them. And if you want to keep going, the next video covers something most dog owners are spending money on every month that experienced owners quietly stopped buying years ago.